Hello, I'm so excited to be here today and thanks for joining me on the program today. My name is Omotayo Alo and you're on to From the Ivory Tower. Today we are talking something interesting. We're looking at international relations and national development. Interesting, you'd say. Yes, interesting. And of course, it's something that every one of us should know about. Today, I'll be speaking with Dr. Ibrahim Ismail of the University of Lagos. But before we go to that session, I'd just like you to hear what students have to say on what they think on the subject of discussion today. Join me.
From inception, us having a mobile telephone and access to internet and stuff like that that is the development aspect of it. But negative aspect, the imbibement of foreign cultures is really affecting our own local culture here. That is one major point I can just
say. It has both sides, because in terms of cultural imperialism, it has, to a greater extent. Although the Nigerian factor also, or the African factor in a way, also have an influence on the international body like the Western world in terms of dance, culture, arts, and several other ways. But predominantly, it's been negative all the way.
I feel we can do our thing by ourselves without the help of foreigners and all sorts like that. So I just feel we should just develop more instead of inviting foreigners to help us. We can just do it by ourselves and everything.
It has been at least a bit helpful in that maybe these cheaper girls, as they said they were finding out. They said they were able to trace, when the US came, they were able to trace where they are in Sambisa Forest. But when these people were there, the Nigerians, they couldn't do anything, but at least with the help of the international community they were able to at least do something.
You heard it all. You heard everything they had to say. Every man to his own opinion. Right now we want to move to the interview segment, and like I told you earlier, I have Dr. Ismail Ibrahim in the house today. He's a lecturer of international and political communication. So you see, we're speaking to the right person. So sit there, don't go anywhere, and we'll have Dr. Ibrahim and how I do the talk on international relations and national development. Like I said earlier, our topic for today is international relations and national development. And I have a wonderful guest who is seasoned on this topic. His name is Dr. Ismail Ibrahim. Good day, sir.
Good day, thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Nice to have you.
All right, let's move straight to the business for today. Security tops the list of what most Nigerians have in mind because everybody wants a lasting solution to this menace we have in the country. And when the country started experiencing this problem, when the foreign bodies opted that they would assist Nigeria in fighting terrorism, everybody showed some level of excitement because, wow, these are people who are experienced in fighting terrorism. But it's 3 months now since they said they would assist Nigeria, but we can't see any feasible results. There are no actions to show that these people are actually in the country. So in your opinion, would you say the international bodies are being overrated?
No country is an island, except perhaps maybe countries such as Kiribati in the Pacific, that are perhaps insulated from what happens in other countries. We all depend on each other. For instance, Nigeria, as a country, we share borders with different countries, Niger, Republic of Benin, Cameroon, and Chad. So anything that happens in Nigeria affects those other countries. And to the extent that perhaps you say that those countries, like Chad, like Cameroon, they were colonized by France. So whatever happens, in Nigeria perhaps has impact on those countries as well as France.
Okay, but since they came into Nigeria to assist, why is it that there are no results? We are not seeing anything. We've not heard the news that, okay, some girls have been found by these foreign bodies, even with all the technological know-how they brought in when they showed their intentions to help Nigeria. So would you say that they are not really that effective, the way Nigerians see them, to bring immediate answer, because we are not seeing any results?
Okay. If you say results are based on maybe clear outcomes. And before those countries, offer to help, and Nigeria accepted their assistance, we need to know, for instance, what kind of help do they offer in the first place? Do they offer to help us go and look for those girls and get them out? If that is what they offered and they are unable to do, we can say they have failed. But if, for instance, what they have offered is to assist in terms of intelligence, is to assist in terms of capacity building, training, counter-terrorism training and others, then we have to assess them based on that. I'm not sure that they promised to go and rescue those girls. This is the responsibility of the Nigerian military, but it is important to first identify what sort of assistance did the government ask from them and what did they offer. So that is the only basis on which we can judge whether they've been effective or not.
All right. Still on the assistance of the foreign bodies, mixed reactions actually trailed their coming into Nigeria. Some were excited, while some were excited, some say, oh, I don't trust they're coming into the country and all of that. So do you think foreign help, say from Britain and America, in any way threaten Nigerian sovereignty and the continued independence of Nigeria?
Yeah, see, that I think it is maybe the language of the common man on the street. Because Nigeria as a country, we have our own national interests. If we are inviting somebody to come and do something for us, it should fit within our strategic national interest. Those countries that are also intervening, it's not just something that they are doing just for the sake of doing something. It is something that fits into their national interest. For example, Nigeria was colonized by Britain, and Britain would not like to see a failed Nigerian state, because that will show that maybe their policy of colonization has failed in the first place. So Britain will have an interest in intervening, in helping, to solve that problem when they see that there is a question of instability. The same thing with America, for instance. America rely on Nigeria's oil, although the level of dependence has actually come down now. Rely on Nigeria's oil. If Nigeria is unstable, it's going to affect the oil price, and it's going to have a lot of effect in their own society. Also, France offered to help because the countries neighboring Nigeria, they were colonized by France. So if there is instability in those countries, then France will have an effect. So what we can say in essence is that those countries, they are just not doing it, that are intervening. They are not doing it just for the sake of intervening. They are doing it because it is in their own national interest to do something.
All right, so Nigerians should not feel threatened, that's what you're saying?
No, we should feel threatened if we don't have a clearly defined national interest, But if it is something that is clearly defined, it fits within our strategic interests, we shouldn't feel threatened, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, general belief holds that education should be in line to solving a particular need or meeting a particular need of society. And in our tertiary institutions of today, there are courses that students offer related to international relations. So students study international relation courses. So how would you say this has translated in meeting challenges, mitigating Nigeria's full involvement in international relations?
Yeah, okay, this is a very interesting question, because all over the world, universities, they are meant to serve, a reflection of the society, and they are meant to assist the government, in terms of research, in terms of manpower, in terms of policy advice and other things. And in most developed countries, there is a lot of collaboration between the governments and the universities. In fact, a number of prominent politicians, for instance, Bill Clinton, for example, he had to go to Harvard because somebody in Harvard who developed his manifesto. Obama also finished from Harvard, a former president of the Law Association in Harvard. And in the United Kingdom, for example, the Labour Party, for several years, during the time of Tony Blair, they were in power for more than 10 years. And the manifesto of Tony Blair was developed by a known academic called Professor Anthony Giddens, who works for the London School of Economics. So there is a kind of connection, in those societies between the universities and the government. But unfortunately, in our own part of the world, in this country, there seems to be a disconnect between those in government and people in the university. So, and when you go to other places, for example, in the University of Lagos, we have the Center for Chinese Studies. To me, that is a strategic intervention. You know, if the Chinese government felt that, okay, they are doing a lot of business in Nigeria, so they are trying to promote the study of Chinese language, the study of Chinese culture. What about Nigeria? We need to define our own strategic interests. We need to go to countries in Africa, you know, that we know that we want to do business with. In South Africa, for example, we need to promote among their universities the study of Nigerian studies.
At least you have the language barrier.
Exactly. We can study. If you want to do business in Nigeria, this is the culture, this is the system, and things like that. But I'm not sure we have something like that, and that is where we are getting it wrong.
Okay. And so what's your advice now?
What I'm going to advise is that the government should see universities and institutions as strategic partners. You know, that is the first sounding board. If you have a policy, you need to go to them. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, you are academics, you are the experts. What is your advice? What is your take on this? Based on the researches that they have done on similar things in the past, they can offer good advices as to how the government can actually do it. So I will actually encourage, I will actually advise that the government should go into more strategic collaboration with the universities on issues of our strategic interests.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. The international criminal courts have been accused of being used as a tool by the Western world to indict Africans, that is to present Africa in a bad light. So to you, how does their credibility impact on the relationship Africa have with Western community?
There's, of course, there's a lot of concern that a lot of people, especially governments in Africa, they see the International Criminal Court as a platform for witch hunting, you know, Africans, especially African leaders. And to me, yeah, there may be a basis for that, because most of the people, you know, that have been taken to the International Criminal Court, most of them, they are from Africa. But again, what are we talking about? We are talking about crimes against humanity. And these are crimes that are only found in places like Africa. You know, they don't, you know, in those other societies, you know, they follow the rule of law. It's not that they don't do things, you know, against opposition and things like that, but they follow due process and the rule of law. But that is what is absent in Africa, you know, and that is why, as long as we continue to project this kind of image, you know, when we have elections, you know, it is winner takes all. And it is when we have elections in Africa, it's full of violence, people kill each other because of elections. And when you have things like that, you know, there is no way you can escape from people referring your cases to the International Criminal Court. And it's not only Africa. You know, I'm aware that a country like Syria, what is going on, they have actually taken the case to the International Criminal Court. A country like Egypt, even though it's Africa, you know, a number of people, organizations, they've taken the case to the African Court about how the government has been treating its own citizens. But these are things that you will not find in Europe. You know, you can't find that in America. You can't find that in United Kingdom, in France, in Italy, in Germany. No.
What do you think is responsible for this? Why Africa? What makes us this special to be the ones always caught in the web of misbehavior and all of this?
Yeah, but again, I think it's about culture. It's about, you see, we imbibe, when we talk about, for instance, democracy, for example, we imbibe the process that, okay, we should have election, but we didn't imbibe the culture. You know, the culture is that election is about contest, and somebody is going to lose, somebody is going to win. And if somebody loses, he accepts. If somebody wins, it's not a winner takes all syndrome. But unfortunately, we don't have that culture. You know, people see election as a personal thing. Even when they are doing campaigns, you see people saying that it is war. It is a do or die affair. Things are never like that. We have a situation, for example, in the United Kingdom.
All right.
The opposition party, that's the Labour Party. The leader of the Labour Party, you know, to win that position contested against his own blood brother. Blood brother, they are both brothers. So they contested against themselves, and the junior brother won the election. Also within the Labour Party, we have two people that are shadow ministers. One is the husband, the other is the wife. You know, these are things in the outside they accepted this as normal. But if it is a country like Nigeria, they will say, oh, this is not possible. Is it only one person? Is it only one family that will provide? This is about culture. You know, they have accepted, they have the institutions, they have the processes, they have the culture. In our own case, we don't have, we have accepted the institutions, we've accepted the process, but we have not imbibed the culture.
Right. Yeah. So the message is Nigerians should imbibe the culture. Take everything hook, line, sinker, not take some parts and leave the other.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, sir. Right now, we want to take a short break. So far, I've been speaking with Dr. Ibrahim Ismail of the University of Lagos Mass Communication Department. Thanks for staying with us till this time. So join me after the break and the program will be right on.
Core TV News presents a platform with presence in over 30 states of the Federation. Be sure to be had. For live coverage of events, we have the capacity to deliver from anywhere in Nigeria and beyond. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733, 014-533-407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Thanks for staying there. The program is still from the Ivory Tower, and today we are discussing international relations and national development. As we continue, Dr. Ibrahim, events have shown that Nigerian leaders often travel abroad. In fact, some have businesses, some have their families resident there, and it shows that, okay, there's a good rapport and all of that. But occasions have shown that this frequent travel has not translated in the way foreigners see Nigerians. Say, for example, when Nigerians go to the airport, there is this look, there is this feel. So what do you think is responsible for this?
Why is it that those people, in spite of interacting with Nigerians who visit that place, why is it that they still don't respect us the way they should respect us? Again, on this one, I think we can look at it from two different ways. In those countries, we have maybe Nigerians, people from Nigeria, who are actually living in those countries. How have those Nigerians comport themselves? You know, do they comport themselves as good ambassadors? Are they in very good, respectable positions that those people know that, oh, anybody coming from this part of the world, then that means it is good. There was a time, you know, in the life of this country where a number of our medical doctors, you know, who are trained in Nigeria, once they get to places like UK, and America, without doing any exam, they just go straight. You know, they give them job and they just go straight to work. But over time, they believe that maybe the quality of education has come down. So they introduced exams for them, that they have to do exams. And even with that now in places like UK, they are having questions about people, you know, coming from Nigeria, trained in Nigeria, because they've had a number of issues around people who are trained there. Okay, that is the kind of image that they have. If the people who are Nigerians who are working there, if they could give a good impression of themselves, they can give a good impression of the country, and that one can reflect back on the way they are going to perceive the country. But if the kind of impression they give is not a nice impression, then it's going to have an impact on us. We have a number of leaders who are former politicians in Nigeria who have been arrested, for instance, in the UK, put on trial in the UK for corruption, for example. This is the kind of image, you know, that they have of people. And there is no way you have this image of corruption, you know, about political office holders, and is going to have positive effect on the way that they are going to perceive it. It is based on the interaction they have, real interaction they have with Nigerians, which was built over the years.
And most especially when it's coming from the leader, you can imagine what the follower would do.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, sir. With the relationship we've had so far with foreign bodies, we should expect that it's not a 2-year, 3-year relationship. It's been for a while. So what developments, what national development can you say that Nigeria has benefited from this relationship so far?
Okay. I think, to the best of my knowledge, this is the area where we don't actually get it right. There was a time in the life of this country when Nigeria, the Nigerian government said that Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy, and we actually made a lot of very constructive intervention in different countries. For example, of recent, when Liberia was actually threatening on the verge of collapse, it was Nigeria who had to intervene with ECOMOG, and we saved the country, from total collapse. And again, the same thing happened in Sierra Leone. Nigeria went to Sierra Leone, and the country was going to collapse. And with our taxpayers' money, with our oil money, we intervened. But we don't have a clear policy of how to consolidate these interventions. So what happened in Sierra Leone? Once we left, the Americans came in. Once we left in Sierra Leone, once we left, the British government came in. In Liberia, the American government came in, and they took all the glory. They took all the glory because we don't have a clear plan. There was a time in the life of this country, before Zimbabwe became Zimbabwe, it used to be Rhodesia, and it was Nigeria, who had to help that country, threatened, the business interest of United Kingdom in this country before the country was given its independence, But did we have a clear policy of how to consolidate on that? No. During the apartheid regime in South Africa, Nigerian government had to nationalize British Petroleum. We had to move, before our foreign reserve used to be denominated in pound sterling. But because of the belief that the British government is supporting apartheid government in South Africa, Nigerian government moved its foreign reserve denomination from pounds to dollars, and that helped a lot. That because it actually United Kingdom government, they felt the impact. But did we consolidate on this? No. To me, the fact is that the Nigerian government, or Nigeria in general, we don't have a clear policy of how we can consolidate on our past. We just throw our weight around, without a clear plan, a clear roadmap of how, in the long run, we can benefit from this. Go to South Africa. This is a country that Nigerian government helped, in its dark days. But if you go to South Africa now, how are Nigerians treated? Nigerians are treated largely as criminals. They don't give us the kind of respect that we deserve. There was a time last year, that they had to send a high-powered government delegation, went to South Africa because they didn't have yellow card. They had to turn them back. It was only when the Nigerian government said that, okay, South Africans coming, they should go back. That was the only time that the government now said, okay, they relaxed. So we don't have that clear policy. We try our ways around, but we don't have a clear strategic policy of how we can consolidate on that power and the kind of goodwill that we have internationally.
All right, thank God I said that wasn't my last question, because with your explanation, it seems like the ruling government or people the Nigerian leaders have not yet gotten some things right. A lot of things right. That is why we still experience 1 or 2 issues as a country. So, as an academic, how can people in the academic world help the country, help the government forestall all of this, so that we could, and because we are all in this together, so how can the academic help the government in making the country a better place?
I think the first thing is recognition from the government. The government needs to realize that there is a whole lot that the people in the Ivory Tower can actually do to assist the government. For example, if you look at the countries, bordering Nigeria, we have Republic of Benin, we have Niger Republic, we have Chad, we have Cameroon. Nigeria is an English-speaking country. All these other countries are French-speaking. The Nigerian government should promote, French, as a national language. If we all speak French, not English, there's no way we will not have clear dominance of those countries. That is one way. Another way is that Nigeria should also promote the study of, Nigerian languages or studies in those places. Also, Nigeria ought to have, these countries that we said border Nigeria, they are using CFA, that is their foreign currency. If Nigeria had actually pursued that policy, Nigeria, looking at the weight, looking at the population, looking at the resources that we have, Nigerian government ought to have pursued a policy of the introduction of Naira as the official currency of West Africa. But we don't have that clear vision of this is what we want to do. And I think perhaps this is due to the fact that Nigeria is a house divided against itself. We don't actually have a sense of national identity. We see ourselves more as Yoruba, Hausas, Igbos, no clear Nigerian identity. And it is when we have that, that when we begin to see ourselves first as Nigerians before any other primordial affiliations, then that is the only time that we can begin to wield the kind of power or the kind of influence that God has endowed this country with. Okay,
so am I safe to say that if Nigeria wants to enjoy the benefits of international relations, then we need to settle ourselves at home. We need to do some house cleaning. All right, sir.
We've got to do that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was nice having you on the program today. Like our tradition, we wouldn't let you go until we take you through one or two quotes to ponder on for the week. All right, you've seen the quotes. It's been nice having you on the program today. And like I always say, and I would always ask, I hope you learned, because that is the essence of this program. Learn and use whatever it is you've learned to act, and you make yourself a better citizen and make Nigeria a better country. My name, Omotayo Alo. Have a beautiful day.